everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday. Now, of course, yesterday we do apologize. We were having some internet issues, so we were not able to do the show, but we are back here today, and we're going to review what happened in week 4 of college football on the Stingray Show today, and also talk about some of the big upsets like Oklahoma getting upset by Kansas State. And then, of course, Mississippi State going down to the Bayou Bengals down in Tiger Stadium. And they actually went down there and upset the LSU Tigers. So we will review what happened last weekend. So sit back, relax, and enjoy as Heath and myself take you through what was a wild weekend of college football right here only on the Stingray Show.
Dogs and Stingray are coming for you.
This is Stephen Ray, aka Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Good afternoon, Mr. Feinbaum. Stingray here, and I'm about to shoot the bull with you like all the Auburn students do down at Auburn. Worst defense ever!
So without further ado, here is the biggest Alabama going for the field goal. The kick is up. It is away. It is no good. Chris Davis bringing it out of the end zone. Oh, he's got blockers. Chris Davis up the sideline. Here he goes.
Here we go, guys. Dobbs back to pass, launching the ball. Jennings, he's got it. Jennings, he's got it. Touchdown, Tennessee. They shocked the Dogs in Sanford Stadium. Are you kidding me? My God Almighty! What an epic way for the Tennessee-Georgia rivalry to end this game. What a play! Wow!
To another exciting edition of the Stingray Show, and let me go on ahead and bring up my co-host Heath Hopkins. And Heath, how's it going today? We are live, and it's a great day outside, and it actually does feel like fall right now. It's so exciting, isn't it?
It is, Stephen. It is. And what a great weekend of football. A lot of surprises. Hey, shout out to the Commodores and their fans. I heard a guy from the Tennessee and do a radio interview the other day, said that Vanderbilt wouldn't even score a point against A&M. They made that a game. Props to the Commodores.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, let me ask you this. Did you actually watch the debate last night? Because the Stingray Show would like to personally endorse. No, I'm just kidding. But honestly, did you watch the debate last night?
Well, I'm endorsing Pedro for president, right?
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, the debate last night, it kind of got me wondering about this question, though. In your opinion, and I would like to ask all of the viewers out there as well, looking nationally and in the SEC, which coaches around the country do you think would ultimately win the presidency?
Wow. The easy answer is Nick Saban, but he's also not liked. A lot of people don't like Nick Saban.
Yes.
I think they don't like him because he's successful. So with that being said, I know a lot of people in the past that voted for certain candidates in our last election, no matter which party it is, that they voted for him anyway, although they didn't like him. The easy answer is Nick Saban, but I think we need some tension release and someone that makes us smile. So I'd go to Kansas. Let's bring in Les Miles as president, right?
Absolutely. All right. Well, I tell you what, I'm actually going to go with Urban Meyer. I think he would win Utah. I think he would win Florida. And I think he would also win Ohio. I'm also going to go with Mike Leach. Just because of the crazy things that he would say in his press conferences. I think that, and especially on a debate stage, that would be pretty awesome as well. And then, of course, the other one I'm going to go with is Nick Saban as well, just like you. Possibly Dabo at Clemson, but
I would vote for Dabo. How do you not like Dabo?
Yes, but you said last week that he was somebody like your crazy uncle. I don't know if you want somebody that crazy running the country or not.
If you go on the character issue, how can you leave off Mark Richt? Everyone loves Mark Richt. Everybody loves Mark Richt.
Yes.
Might be the landslide candidate. You want someone to take us to crazy land, but yet we'd love him. Lou Holtz.
Yes.
Everybody watched the State of the Union address with Lou Holtz, right?
Yes, absolutely. So that was just some things. And guys, go on ahead and let us know via Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube which ones you like as well. I can actually see someone here on Facebook said, Cody Newman said, Mike Leach, Hail State. I'm going to pop that up there, and there it is. All right, so basically, what were your takeaways from weekend number 4 and the first weekend of the SEC?
Oh, I'm not going to lie. I watched very little out of conference. I watched almost all SEC football on Saturday, and man, it was a great day. I've got 1,000 kids or something like that. I don't know. I've lost count. The old Rodney Dangerfield joke. The greatest thing about kids, making them, right?
Right.
But I was very fortunate to watch football all day long on Saturday. So I started at 11 a.m. I don't even know when I stopped, but I know it was late. I know it was after 10 o'clock. So, but I watched all SEC all night.
Right. Let me go ahead and pop this up here real quick. Let's go back to it. Dabo Richt 2020. So that's a good one right there. Yes. So thank you, Glenn, for sending that one in. And let's go on ahead and talk about some of the highlights. And first, we're going to start up there with the Lane Train up there in Oxford. What did you think about this game?
I watched that game. I was very, very impressed. I knew we would see an uptick in the offense. I didn't think we'd see that much uptick. We did. A lot of points are going to be scored in Oxford this year. Defense, I mean, if it's the Lane Train, that's a train wreck. That defense has a lot of improvement. Will it get better this week? Yes. Will it get better this season? Yes. But I think it might take a recruiting cycle or two for them to be a heavy contender. But I'm not counting out Lane Kiffin. I'm not counting out Ole Miss defense. They're not the Land Sharks.
No, definitely not. And I'm wondering what happened to this kind of defense. I mean, back when Hugh Freeze was there, and at the first of the Matt Luke era, you actually had those guys actually throwing up that one. You could get pressure on the quarterback, and they were just really, really explosive. And did you happen to see the press conference that Lane Kiffin had after the game? A reporter actually asked him, were there any positives that you could take away from this game on your defensive side of the ball? And he said, no. Next question.
Like honesty, don't we earn for more of it?
Yes.
Thanks, Lane, for not the coach speak, because we all get tired of coach speak, and we know the laws of the coach speak. We love the honesty. Again, will that defense be better this week? Yes. Will that defense be better by the end of the season?
Yes.
I got a good feeling it will be. Will it be better by next year? I got a great feeling it will be.
Yes. All right. Well, what did you think about the Florida offense? Because they were a juggernaut, but the defensive side of the ball and Todd Grantham, they had some issues as well.
That was the biggest takeaway I took away from the Florida game is the Todd Grantham defense didn't look like Todd Grantham's defense. Like he was superimposed. I think it was just a bad day for Grantham and his defense. I really do. And on top of that, they went into that game not knowing what Ole Miss was going to throw at them. They had no clue how they were going to use playmakers and in what space and how, or go over the top, or pound the rock, or what. Ely's a great back, and then of course you got two great quarterbacks there at Ole Miss. And Was it going to be Mount Corral? Was it going to be John Reese Plumlee? John Reese Plumlee's who Lynn Bowden, that was at Kentucky last year. No, he's not going to take every time at quarterback. But that guy is a playmaker. He's going to get the ball a lot. But going back to top defense, am I panicked for the Gator defense? I'm looking at the panic button, but I'm not hitting it.
Right.
Let's give that defense. Let's see what happens on Saturday. If it looks bad, then maybe we get our finger on it and not push it yet. If we see it 3 weeks in a row, you can hit it.
Absolutely. And speaking of a Mississippi State fan, when he was here with Dan in Starkville, you can remember that we were having, we back then, because I was a Mississippi State fan, but, they would have issues drive in and drive out and week in and week out. One drive, they would be like, wow, that's a really good defense. And then the next drive, it'd be like, did the defense that just took the field actually stay on the sidelines? I mean, it was weird. Do you not agree?
There was more consistency when he was in Starkville. That defense was extremely consistent last year.
Right.
The last 2 years. You're not making New York State bowl games with defense up and down. If we had Todd Grantham on, I think Todd would tell us, Coach Grantham would tell us right off the bat that, hey, we were shooting in the dark, seeing what Lane Kiffin was going to throw at us, and that was to his advantage. Just wait till you see us this week. I got to feel he'd say something along the lines like that. So, am I a believer in Todd Grantham's defense? Absolutely. I think he's one of the best defensive coordinators in America. Absolutely. Am I worried about Florida? Not yet.
Absolutely. All right. Well, are you ready to move on to the following game? And by the way, Florida did knock off Ole Miss 51-35, and Kyle Trask had 6 touchdown passes, 4 of those to Kyle Pitts. So it was a really good day for the Florida Gators up there at Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss.
Hey, Steven, I'm going to give you some homework for our show before our show tomorrow. You got to come up with a hashtag from Cal Trask to Cal Pitts. I don't know what you're going to call it, but man, Cal to Cal.
Yes.
I think we're going to see that a lot this year.
I do too. All right, well, let's move on to the other 11 o'clock game. That was actually pretty decent for a while, and I'm actually going to roll video. Now, I wasn't able to pull up the Florida video, and I do apologize about that, but let's go ahead and roll the Kentucky versus Florida. I'm sorry,
Auburn.
Kentucky versus Auburn. Thank you for that. And as you can see, actually Kentucky struck first, and they were up 7-0. But as the game continued, they just continued to shoot themselves in the foot. What was your overall take of the Kentucky-Auburn game?
I was very hesitant of picking Auburn to win that game. I did pick Auburn to win. I thought Auburn would pull it out late, mainly because they were playing at home in the comforts of that, and they had a couple of more return starters in key position. Kentucky is going to be a good team. Are they taking a small step back this year? I don't know. Did they take a small step back Saturday? I think so. But I think they're going to be a strong Kentucky team. I think they're going to be – the ceiling is still so high, guys. We talked about that last week on the show. Stoops is not getting enough credit of what he's doing in Lexington, Kentucky. Not getting hardly enough credit. Stoops has changed the culture up there. He's changed the win-loss column up there. And, recruits are coming in. Recruits are starting to notice. So, I'm watching Josh Ali, the wide receiver for Kentucky. I can't wait to see what he does this year. But Steven, we've got to talk about that crazy play toward the end. Kentucky clearly got into the end zone before halftime.
I know.
Why they're not pounding it, I don't know. 2 plays later, the pick six happened, and I was mad for both teams. I thought that was kind of a garbage call that they called on Auburn. That was a massive garbage call they called on Kentucky. He was clearly it wasn't even debatable. I still don't understand the thought process out of Birmingham in the replay office of not giving the touchdown there. I didn't understand.
I agree with that. And then also, the targeting as well that you were talking about. And, Kentucky actually had a chance to tie the game there late in the quarter. And then, as you see right here, he just completely fumbles the ball and it goes back to Auburn. And actually, Auburn was only up by 2 points at that time.
Yeah. We've seen it before with Kentucky, and I'm not trying to bring up things that would brought a Big Blue Nation. But you remember a couple of years ago with Florida Kentucky game, left a guy wide open, 2 different plays. The difference in the game was that Kentucky whipped Florida up in the field that night, and they took away a loss.
Yes.
Kentucky finds ways to lose games from time to time, especially on the road and bigger matchups against the traditional powerhouse in the SEC.
Yes.
And Kentucky's got to realize they're not playing that name on the front of the jersey from the man across from him. They're just playing another football team that week. And that's hard for the 19, 20, 21-year-old men to figure out. So hopefully Stoops will keep changing that culture there and figure it out. But, man, Kentucky had the opportunity but kind of played it egg.
Yes. And, man, I tell you what, the fake punt was also very questionable there towards the end of the game.
Yes. I do understand it and don't understand it, but trying to make something happen, you don't always have to make something happen on a trick play on a special team play. You still got first, second, and third downs to do that.
Yes.
I don't disagree with the call completely. Did it backfire? Yeah. But I don't disagree with it.
And like I said, guys, I do want to go ahead and say this real quick. I do apologize about the quality and the audio of the internet because of the audio and the quality of the video on our ends. We are going to get that worked out eventually, but just stay with us here. As you know, it can be a work in progress.
The Stingray Show runs on duct tape and dental floss, right?
Yes. So once again, I do apologize about that. We were not able to bring you the show yesterday because of this internet issue. And once again, we're having it again. But thank you to the 27 people that are watching right now for staying with us. And we will continue to get better. I do promise you that. So once again, going back to Auburn, Auburn did, of course, beat Kentucky 29-13, and that defense forced 3 turnovers.
It's just good to say SEC football's back, right?
Yeah.
When we see these defenses, we see these turnovers. We love seeing. I love watching dominant SEC defense.
Yes.
I'm more of a defensive guy than an offensive guy anyway. Do I enjoy offense? Yeah. But defense, what caught your eye with this, Stephen?
On just overall games or just the ones that we've just talked about?
The one we just talked about.
Probably how efficient Bo Nix was in the second half. In the second half, he threw 3 touchdown passes. But I'm interested to see what Auburn has to throw at Georgia this weekend when they go on the road to Athens. But, of course, we'll talk about that tomorrow. That's
going to be the game of the week. Game I'm definitely looking forward to. And the Deep South's oldest rivalry. It's a little odd that to SEC fans, this is week 2. But, we're here in week 4. This is week 5 coming up. This game's usually late November when we see this, second half of November. And so to see it here in October, early October, it's just kind of catching us off guard a little bit. But the Deep South oldest rivalry, how can you not get excited about that?
Absolutely. And I just went and moved my internet, so maybe it'll get a little bit better service. So that's why I put you up full screen and me down here in the bottom because there we go. Okay, so we're at the split screen now again. So that's the reason that I went away for a second. I'm trying to work on my internet issues. But once again, Auburn did knock off Kentucky. And also, I do want to show you this real quick before we move on. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do that here in just a second once we get through with the highlights. So let's move on to another huge upset. And actually, I don't think either one of us saw this coming. Oklahoma actually went down to the Kansas State, the Fighting Kansas State. So what'd you think about that?
2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes.
You know, the silver and purple going big there in Manhattan, Kansas. You know, when Oklahoma got up by 21, you know, I kind of thought, yeah, this one's over. And,
Right.
and I was checking back on that game time to time during commercial breaks and reviews and that kind of thing. I was completely shocked at what happened. I went back and watched the highlights. You know, K-State's a good team. They're
Yes.
not Oklahoma, but yeah, that's the upset. That's the upset. The Big 12. The Big 12. I mean, is that what we're going to get every week? You remember the ACC
Yes.
and the Wheel of Destiny? There was always an ACC team falling on its face. That is the Big 12 in 2020.
Yes.
Each week we have a massive shocker in the Big 12, and it's always ugly.
Yes. And like you saw right here, they were up 35-14 in the third quarter, and then just completely, you know, that was the last points that Oklahoma scored, and they actually got beat. Let me go ahead and throw this up here for you. Let me find it. They got beat 38-35. Kansas State rallied from 21 points down, and you know, Skylar Thompson had a huge day on the ground and passing. And then, of course, you had the blocked punt here as well that did not help Oklahoma. So what are your thoughts about the Oklahoma and Kansas State situation?
Skylar Thompson's a good little quarterback. Is he going to get it the front page of Sports Illustrated? No. He's a good little college quarterback. He's better than what most teams have. He's in the definitely upper half of what teams have in America this year. Skylar Thompson play, you know, with Oklahoma and what's going on. I don't have any answers for the Sooners. I don't have any answers of why it happened, and especially 2 years in a row. You know, 21-point lead in that game, and K-State overcomes it on the road. Happened, and that's huge. Yeah, is Oklahoma sold out? No. You know, all the stadiums are. You know, some are empty and some are at 25%. But still, you lost to K-State last year. You would think the revenge factor would be on the mind for the Sooners.
Yes.
And they just put it in cruise control 2 times. Not 1 time, 2 times.
Yes.
And twice against K-State. It just thought, oh, well, this is over. And look who we're talking about. It's K-State, not the Sooners.
Yes. And I tell you what, man, now if you look forward, the only undefeated teams left in the Big 12, I do believe, are Baylor, which had their first game last weekend. Then you have Oklahoma State and Texas.
And did Texas try to give it away? I've got relatives out in Lubbock, and they went to Texas Tech. I was pulling for the Red Raiders, and I was just shocked how they gave that game away.
Yes, and we're actually going to go to that here in just a second. Once again, you can see the interception that Skylar Rattler threw right there at the end of the game that would ultimately seal the deal for the Kansas State as they go into Norman and knock off number 3 Oklahoma. That was a huge road win for them. And, man, I got to tell you, I'm not sold on Lincoln Riley as a football coach. What about you?
To be determined. Do I think he's a good football coach? Absolutely. Is he better than you and me? Absolutely. Is he better than everyone watching and listening? Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And his bank account says so. That's my factual proof. No, I hope he's not one of these guys that's a good offensive coordinator. I think he's going to be a good head coach. You know, Oklahoma I remember him talking about earlier this year when we're talking about maybe we're going to play football, maybe not. And I remember Lincoln Riley said, maybe we should wait for the spring. Did he have his team completely ready? Were they kind of taking it easy on workouts during that time? I don't know.
Yes.
But there was a reason he said that. Why? I don't know. But I think Oklahoma is going to be okay with Lincoln Riley. But, hey, it's college football. Coaches stay forever, right? No.
Yes, right. All right, well, you touched on it just a little bit. Let's go ahead and show you the Texas and Texas Tech game. And that was a exciting game,
Yes,
was
it
it not?
It was a great game.
And that was actually, oh, come on. Well, the highlights will not let me pull them up. Dadgummit. Okay, hold everything.
Hey, maybe even better, you can go on YouTube and watch them. I mean, it was, what was it, 2:10 left in the game, and the Red Raiders are up by 14. You think that it's over. They just scored. They're up by 14, and they lose with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left in that game.
Yes.
Fascinating. And give props to Texas. Hook 'em horns. Hey, they hung in there. They battled back. They got the breaks. They made the wrong breaks and got the win. But heartbreaking opportunity loss for the Red Raiders.
Yes, Texas rallied with 2 touchdowns in the final 3 minutes of regulation and got an onside kick for a 63-56 win, and they escaped Lubbock. And like you said, how disappointing for the Red Raiders, because they've been so close for so long. But, I honestly feel like that it's the Mike Leach curse, because they did him so wrong by putting him out, and they really haven't taken that next step since he left and was fired.
Mike Leach did a phenomenal job at Texas Tech. And, every time two coaches write best-selling books, and coaches out of Lubbock, Texas, writing best-selling books,
Right.
The administration completely destroyed that whole opportunity. You had an athletic director and a president that just let that situation get out of hand because they didn't want to pay. They looked at TCU and say, "Hey, look, they're winning almost as much as us, so they're a whole lot cheaper. They're paying their coaching staff and their head coach a whole lot less.
Yes.
We could do that," and they haven't been the same since. So I can speak for the people in Lubbock just because I have relatives there. Everybody, that's right, Shooters Up. Everybody is upset in Lubbock over that whole situation. Very upset.
And, they actually had Tommy Tuberville, and then they had Cliff Kingsbury, which actually got an NFL job out of that gig. And, I honestly feel like that Cliff Kingsbury is not a good coach, because you saw what kind of talent he had with Patrick Mahomes, and look how well he's doing up at Kansas City, and they could not even win the Big 12.
Winning the Big 12, winning any conference is hard. I don't care if it's women's tennis or what. If you win conference, you have done something special in any sport. With what happened in Lubbock, Cliff Kingsbury, Holmes, and I can give you a pass that you didn't win the conference, but there should have been a lot more wins in the win column there. And I don't know what it is with Mike Leach. He overperformed everywhere and he makes things happen on nothing. There's a lot of YouTube videos you can watch, and people talk about his recruits being the land of misfit toys. He sprinkles fairy dust on his quarterback that turns on men superstars. He saw it again this weekend. I'm sure we'll get to that here in a bit. But, the whole thing with Texas Tech, they've got to figure out consistency. And that's kind of the problem with other schools here in the SEC. They struggle with consistency at times. South Carolina has done it at times. So everybody wants to win at a high level and be consistent winner. And that's why he pays millions of dollars, and that's why you don't keep your job too long if you cannot put in the consistency. That's Joe Moore. Steven, I got a feeling you got some technical difficulties on your side, brother. With that, I'll look at a couple of the comments. Let's see. Fid Seal, LSU 31 over Vandy. That's a pretty big confidence booster from last week to this week. John Stringer, his records aren't great at all. Leach had a losing record last year. Yes, he did have a losing record last year. That doesn't mean that he's a bad coach. If you look at the places where he's coached, I mean, Leach has outperformed everywhere. He's averaged, I believe, 8 wins a year at all his stops. And you want to sit there and talk about how inconsistent that is. Those are some of the worst stops ever. Name me how many coaches have got 8 wins in Lubbock, Texas. Name me how many coaches have 8 wins in Pullman, Washington, out in the Palouse for the Cougars. So, it's one of those things that people want to say things about Mike Leach, but yet they can't back it up when you put the facts in front of them. Steven, I see that you're back with us.
Yes, I do apologize. I had to fix my internet, and hopefully it is a lot better. Once again, I do apologize about all of that. But
I took a couple of questions while you were gone, brother.
Okay, good. And actually, we are better. Your audio is a lot better, so it worked out so far so good. But we got a new question right here. What did you think about Missouri's performance this weekend against Alabama? So do you want to jump to that, or do you want to wait and go to Mississippi State next?
Let's go on and do Mizzou. The Zoo. If I'm a Mizzou fan, I am tickled right now. You're facing the most consistent winner in the SEC. You're facing someone who a lot of people think will be playing in the national championship game this year, if not in the playoff. And, you got a couple of garbage touchdowns there at the end, but that Mizzou offense looked different. I believe one of the players called it weird. This offense is weird. Yeah. It's different. It absolutely is different. Is it going to be unique on the scoreboard in the win? Only time will tell. But if I'm a Mizzou fan of how you played and how you came out and attacked Alabama, and, it was not pretty all the time. If I'm a Mizzou fan, I'm smiling and hoping for more.
Absolutely. Well, and I will tell you, though, there were a lot of Alabama fans that were not happy when they put in the second string players. They said that there was a lot of drop off between first and second. What were your thoughts about that? Because honestly, somebody was telling me earlier today that if the clock didn't run out after he put in the second string, Missouri might have actually come back and tied the game.
I don't know if Missouri would have tied the game, but they're second string for a reason. We had an interview earlier this week that most of y'all will get to see tomorrow with Coach Hugh Freeze. But Coach Hugh Freeze said something in our interview earlier this week that's absolutely true in college football. It doesn't matter where. You have to be 3 deep to compete at a high level. You have to be.
Yes.
And so when Bama puts in their second string, it's going to be a drop-off, but you've got to get those guys some experience, some playing time. And I guarantee you this week during practice and film session, a lot of things were pointed out of what that second string did right and wrong, and it will be corrected. You win on depth. They don't say, oh, well, our starter scored this, and that's the final score. No, they don't say it was 35-10, but with our starters, it was 42-10. No, right. It's a team game. Your second string is part of your team. You're missing your All-American corner. It's still part of your team. The backup guy is part of your team. So I don't want to hear that, well, our starting quarterback was out. Our top wide receiver was gone. No, it's a team game. It's not an individual game. And so with that, Bama's going to be just fine. They are. They just need a little bit of seasoning and experience, and that's what Coach Saban's doing. I got a feeling Coach Saban knows more about football and coaching up talent than anybody watching right now.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, let's go on ahead and move to your game because you are a Mississippi State fan. And let me go ahead and roll this. And this was actually what I texted you about the other day and told you that it was complete BS. And you asked me, and then later in the game, I couldn't remember. I'm going to actually roll this highlight, and I want you to tell me what you thought about them picking up the flag on the play here of KJ Costello. It looks to me and normal fans that when you zoom in here, it looks like it is a horse collar or a face mask because the guy actually grabbed the back of his helmet and pulled him down, and yet the the right here, as you can see, watch just he yanked him down with the back of his nameplate, and the referees picked it up. What were your thoughts about that egregious picking up of the flag?
Stephen, I was born and raised in the state of Mississippi. I am a proud Mississippi State grad. I won't hide that fact. I've known for a very long time in my life, and I won't tell you how old I am, but I've been around for about 44 years.
Right.
Mississippi State fans never get the calls, and we know this going into games. And, when it's close games against teams that are ranked higher than us, we're a little bit more extra sensitive on it. Mississippi State's never going to get a gift from the officials. They never will.
Right.
When you play those games, you've got to beat the other team, the officials.
Yes.
So, we talked about that earlier with Kentucky and the replay of their game against Auburn. The guy was clearly in the end zone. Kentucky's in the boat with us. The mid-tier and lower-tier SEC teams have a problem with the upper echelon teams of getting the calls. Bear Bryant said it best. I love this quote by Bear Bryant. My high school coach say it all the time when anyone wanted to cry about a call. Hey, the good teams get the good calls. The great teams get the you can't complain about it. You can't cry about it. So with that being said, it was a missed call. It was a blown call. I don't know why they picked up the flag. The rule book clearly states that a quarterback cannot be touched anywhere on the helmet. And definitely be almost skull drag from the back of his helmet. Yeah, that's a penalty. And that would have put another touchdown on the board for Mississippi State.
Absolutely. And I think I figured out the audio problems while you were talking. As soon as you start talking, I am going to I'm going to mute my mic, and hopefully that will fix the internet issues. I think we're having technical issues on either end. But overall, what was your thought about the overall game and the performance of Mississippi State down on the Bayou at LSU?
Wow. Mike Leach fired a shot across the bow of the SEC to let them know the air raid's here. I don't think any State fan expected anything close to that. If you would have told me 350 yards to 400 yards passing, I was like, yeah, it's about normal for a Leach quarterback. I wouldn't be too excited, and I wouldn't think that Mississippi State would have won with that. But if you would have told me early in the week that Mississippi State, 658 total yards, I believe was what the final number was. If you would have told me any team from Saturday had 658 total yards, I told you they would have won and probably won big. The great thing about that game, as if you're a Mississippi State fan, is it was not a clean played game. There was 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Mississippi State just didn't go down there and play perfect at all, nowhere close to it. And I want to, some of the LSU fans, we didn't have Stingley. Like, guess what? Steve Robertson said it best on his podcast the other day. I thought it was absolutely funny that was even brought up. LSU's known as what? DBU? They have defensive backs that everybody in the country wanted, a single one of them. Mississippi State has receivers that no one look at their offers, and you want to tell me that, we didn't have one guy in our secondary that would have made a difference? I don't want to hear the sympathy tears from down on the Bayou. It's DBU, and you got torched. And, hey, here's a fun fact of the day. Bo Pelini defenses are 0-3 against Mike Leach offenses. I've been simply amazed by seeing that happen again. Leach got the best of Pelini back in the Big 12. That was a long time ago. It was. But times haven't changed. That's proven Saturday.
Absolutely. And let me go ahead and pop this up while we're looking at this. Cody Newman said, of course, LSU fans are going to whine, and they are known for that, except, of course, last year when they were on the way to the national championship.
LSU's going to be fine. I looked at their schedule directly after the game. They're going to be 7-3. They're going to have another loss to probably Alabama. They're probably going to have another loss to Florida. Their games with A&M and Auburn are going to be toss-ups, but do I think LSU is going to do it? Yeah. Miles Brennan did not play a terrible game. He threw for 300 and something yards. Did he make some mistakes? Yeah. It's the first time he ever started a football game in high school. It's high school. I think they said 4 or 5 years. I mean, it's been a while for Miles Brennan. I really like the fact that LSU's loaded with talent. Same thing that we were talking about earlier. With Bama and their second string, and they were wanting to get some playing time for those guys, some seasoning and coaching up. Coach O didn't have that luxury with LSU. Is Coach O and the Tigers going to be fine? Yes, they're going to be fine. Is it going to take some time to grow these guys up, coach them up a little bit, and figure things out? Yeah, but LSU was loaded with 4 and 5 stars everywhere on the field at every position. No, that's not a sinking ship down there in Baton Rouge. It's nowhere close to it. It's just kind of like what we talked about with Florida and Ole Miss. LSU did not know what Mississippi State was going to throw at them. They had an idea, but Mississippi State had maybe the worst receiving core in the SEC last year, and all those guys were out there today. To the exception of one, Tyrell Shavers, who transferred in from Alabama, but all those other guys were there last year. So with Mississippi State coming out there and shocking LSU, I think that shocked the nation. It shocked all of us. I don't think anybody saw what was coming. And Bo Pelini refused to adapt during the game. He kept his corners on the island, and Bo Pelini's like, you're going to have to beat me on the field. I don't think you can do it. Mike Leach, KJ Costello, they did it.
Absolutely. But now, of course, moving forward, Heath, you talked about the 4 turnovers. Are you a little nervous about that, especially with the way that it was all on KJ Costello and him, throwing interceptions and then fumbling the ball, as we're looking at right here? He's not holding the ball correctly, and then it's just raked out by the defensive end right there. And this is such a perfect thing for me to say because we're rolling the video right as we talk. As you can see, he moves up in the pocket and he doesn't hold on to the football, and then it's just raked out of there. So what are your thoughts about him holding on to the football moving forward? Because that could be problematic when they face teams like Alabama here in Tuscaloosa in a few weeks.
Any team that faces Alabama, it's going to be problematic, right?
Yes.
Is it concerning a little bit? But again, game 1, you can clean things up. If you see it this coming up week against Arkansas, I think you're really concerned. I remember hearing KJ Costello talk earlier this week in a press conference that this time last year he could even throw a football from his injury. He couldn't pick one up or throw it. And so see where it was last year. So basically, he hasn't started a game in 2 years. But he has plenty of starting experience. He was voted an all Pac-12 quarterback. It's not like he was some club that Mike Leach kind of picked up. This guy was a top-performing quarterback in the Pac-12, which is known for offense and having NFL quarterbacks everywhere. So am I completely shocked at what happened with his performance? No. Am I a little shocked with the turnover? Somewhat. With the air raid, you're going to turn the ball over. You're going to turn it over a lot.
Yes.
I shouldn't say a lot, but you are going to throw interceptions. If you're throwing 60 passes, they're all not going to connect, and they're all not going to be completed to your guys. There's going to be tip balls. You're going to get hit throwing. Passes will float once the quarterback gets hit and his arm's going forward, ball's in the air. There's going to be interceptions everywhere off the receiver's hands. So I'm not necessarily worried about the interceptions as much. The fumbles, that one fumble wasn't his fault. Center snapped the ball. He wasn't ready for it. He had a little Dan Marino in there. Dan Marino would never cover his own fumbles. He'd let his other teammates do it. He wouldn't get on the ground and do it. I did notice that. That did concern me a little bit. But with the rest of it, no, not yet. If you see it again this week, yeah. And another thing to Mississippi State fans who are getting really excited about it, let's face the honest facts. If you have watched Mike Leach teams, which I watched him out in Texas Tech years ago with family out there in Lubbock, as I mentioned earlier, that's right, shoot us up. And also I watched all the 2018 games during quarantine. I wanted to see with Garner Minshew with what he did with Washington State. The whole thing about the offense and the quarterback and everything with that is that it's not going to be perfect. There's going to be a lot of errant things, and you're going to have an off day. So Mississippi State fans need to know right now, KJ Costello, if he has a bad day, you're going to lose. You're going to lose that game. And don't expect any player in any sport to be perfect. So if KJ Costello comes out on anybody on the schedule, whether it be Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Arkansas this weekend, or whoever, if he has a bad day, Mississippi State will lose.
Well, let me ask you this. By the way, KJ Costello passed for an SEC record 623 yards. And are you surprised, though, that Mississippi State was not balanced because they had all of those passing yards, but they only had 9, let me put this up there, 9 rushing yards. That is a problem moving forward because if you can't run the ball with a greater defense like Alabama or Auburn moving forward, they can lock down on those wide receivers, and then you're going to have an issue.
If you have any football coaches in your family or friends, see their knowledge on the triple option. The air raid offense is based off the triple option. It's about reading space and match. And you get to pick what you think is the easiest to exploit and take advantage of. If you stack the box, he's going to throw it over the top.
Right.
You go and play the pass, that's when Mike Leach runs it. And like I said earlier, Bo Pelini did not adapt on Saturday. And so Mike Leach is like, if you're not going to adapt, I'm going to keep throwing it over you over and over and over. The great thing about this is the conditioning of the Mississippi State players. Last year, that was a massive issue. Issue. Was the conditioning of Mississippi State players because they were getting pushed around and bullied on almost every game. And if it was a physical contest, they quit easy. And at the end of games, they were gassed. The complete opposite happened on Saturday. You could tell those defensive backs for LSU, they were tired at the end of the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter was just, part of the air raid offense. Right. And the funny thing is that last touchdown pass that Costello threw to Osiris Mitchell, Osiris wasn't the most open guy on the play. Javonte was running down the hash mark, and he was completely wide open. He had 2 guys wide open running straight to the end zone. So I think that shows you where LSU was on their conditioning. And those guys were tired. And I don't think it was poor conditioning by LSU. If you're running sprint, if you're throwing 60 passes, you're basically running 60 sprints. That's going to wear anybody.
Yes.
Plus hitting and making tackles and covering and chicken fighting and everything else, going down. So how does a team like Arkansas this week, they can't run out and start running 60 sprints a day at practice. They'll be too tired for the game this week. And even teams down the future for Mississippi State's opponents, how can you start getting in shape and not wear your legs up for the game this week? And I think that's part of the Mike Leach repertoire of upsets that he's always had in his 19-year career is my teams are going to try to be tougher than your teams, and we're going to be more conditioned than your teams. And so if we get into a dogfight with a team that's ranked higher than us, this is how we upset you. That's what we saw Saturday.
All right, well, let me pop this question up on the chat for you, and it comes from YouTube, Mr. Johnny D, and he says, do you think Leach could ever win a national championship? And I'll let you start, and then since you're the Mississippi State fan, and then I will respond.
Oh, man. Johnny D, thanks for the question.
Yes.
Mississippi State will win a national championship in baseball. Absolutely, that's going to happen. Football, there's got to be a lot of things that go right. There's got to be a lot of things that go right. Is it impossible? No, it's not. It's not impossible.
Right.
Let's start talking about back-to-back years in New York Six playoff games or making the college football playoff 2 years in a row, and then you can start talking about national championships. It's a ladder. You gotta work your way up. You don't go from 6 and 7 to competing for a national championship. Like, hey, stranger things have happened. I mean, go read your Bible. There's a lot of strange things that happen, right?
Yes.
Go look at the National Enquirer. Go turn on it, whatever news source you want to turn on. And stranger things have happened, but national championship, Leach could win one. I don't know if he wins it in Starkville, and I don't know if he's going to leave anytime soon. I think he's found a home for a long time there.
Absolutely. Well, and if you notice real quick, I just want to say this to all the viewers. If you notice my eyes drifting over here, I do have the chat pulled up. So whenever you guys do send in a question or a comment, I do read them full time and live. So that's why my eyes, kind of dart over here, is because I'm actually reading your comments live while we're on the air, and I can pop them up at any time. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys that of why is Stingray looking off? Well, it's because I'm reading your comments as they come in live right here on the Stingray Show. Is there anything else you would like to add about the Mississippi State game before we move on, Heath?
The Pirate is here.
Yes.
It looks like good times are ahead for the folks in Starkville. And thank goodness. I posed this question to a couple of friends the other day. Of course, there's not a right or wrong answer, and it's something fun to think about. But what would Starkville be like? What would Mississippi State be like if they brought in Leach after the Jackie Sherrill? There was no Kroom, there was no Dan Mullen. Of course, there would probably be no Dak Prescott. There's a lot of good times missed in that time for one national ranking, but to think about Mike Leach being in Starkville, building a program long term, because hey, when he left Texas Tech, that was a very strong national program. It was very strong. I believe he went 10-2 and should have won one of those games. But either or, it's not the case. But something fun to think about. Ask your friends and family, see what they come back with.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's move on to another game, and let me decide which one. Okay, let me roll the highlights. What did you think about the Tennessee matchup with South Carolina? I mean, that was kind of a lackluster game there for a little while. I mean, Tennessee jumped off to a really big lead, and then, of course, South Carolina came back and tied it up, and then they had a very bad, heartbreaking loss there on the last punt for South Carolina because it actually touched a player.
That was one of the best games of the day, I thought. A lot of people thought it might be lackluster. I like nip and tuck games. I love defensive battles, although I wouldn't necessarily consider that game a defensive battle. But that was one of the games I circled that I wanted to watch a lot of, and I watched most of it that night. I flipped to a couple of other games while I was watching it. South Carolina is a little bit better than what I thought. Colin Hill, when we talked to Brendan Marcello last week, I asked Brendan about Colin Hill, and he had the same answer as I did. We didn't know what to expect out of Mike Bobo and Colin Hill coming from Colorado State. I think South Carolina's going to be okay this year. Is Tennessee as good as last year? I don't know. I think Tennessee can be a good team this year. I don't know if they have the depth. I don't know if they have horses to repeat what they did last year. They got a 7-game win streak. They're doing really good right now. I don't know if that's the longest win streak in the SEC or not, but I know it's close to the top. I think Steven's having some audio problems. I'm going to look here at a couple of questions.
I apologize. I had turned my mic off. Here we go. Okay, so, I thought South Carolina had a shot to win this game, and especially when they roared all the way back from 21-7 down, but they just cannot seem to get over the hump with Will Muschamp, and I really feel like his time is dwindling there at South Carolina. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. If Will Muschamp's a phenomenal coach. We all know what a master he is. Head coach, he's shown some flashes, also shown some inconsistency.
Yes.
Is he still a great coach? Yeah. He would not go a jobless. There'd be many programs knocking on his door to be coordinator if things happen in South Carolina. I really think South Carolina could be an uptick this year, but like you said, they've got to be an uptick of consistency there, and it's just not happening. They got to get over that hump.
And did you also see the press conference where he went off on, there was some kind of a leaked video about some kind of interaction between him and a player or him and a coach that surfaced after the game. I'm not really sure what that was about. Did you hear anything about that?
I've heard about it. I haven't seen it. And I will see it, but I haven't seen it yet. Is this a shocker to anybody? Will Muschamp's an emotional guy. That's why we love Will Muschamp. He's full of emotion, but he's Coach Boone, right?
Yes.
So people want to make something out of nothing sometimes. Football's a very passionate game. I had a good friend of mine that coached college football, and he said that about everybody on the staff got fired during the game over their headset at least once. So it happens all the time. I think it's like arguing with a brother or sister when you're a kid. You say some things, you're mad, and later on the day, you're fine, you're playing together, doing whatever. It's the same with football. These football coaches are very emotional. They get in each other's face. I've heard coaches walking off the field once a week quitting, and a head coach was yelling at, the offensive line coach. Like, that's it, I've had enough, I'm out of here. This is quite normal in college football, so I'm not so surprised by an emotional like Will Muschamp getting emotional.
Yeah, and he actually went off on the reporter who actually asked about it. If you go to YouTube and look, not YouTube, if you go to Twitter and look it up, he just went off on this guy for actually bringing it up, and was wondering who actually brought it up and, put it out there.
Gotcha media. I believe we're all tired of it these days. We just want to enjoy our sports. I think all fans, we don't want to hear about social justice or injustice. We don't want to hear about this. Hey, it's your right to say whatever you want to. If you have a platform and you think you can change the world in a positive way, use it. But some of us, we just kind of want to relax and watch sport.
All right, what did you think about the Tennessee defense?
Tennessee's going to have a good this year. Is it running on all cylinders yet? No. Is it going to be good? It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. I think that Rocky Top is going to be proud later on in the season. I think we're going to hear Rocky Top due to the defense making plays and getting their own breaks and getting turnovers. I don't want to get bent out of shape over a little inconsistency in the first game of the season.
Well, believe it or not, since LSU lost, Tennessee now holds the longest game winning streak at 7 right now. So congratulations to them for actually being somewhat relevant again as holding the longest game win streak right now. So that's pretty awesome for Tennessee as they escape Columbia, South Carolina with a 31-27 win over the Gamecocks of South Carolina. All right, let's go on ahead and move on to our last game of the evening. And this game, to me, was by far the most boring game of the day. Would you not agree, Heath? It was Texas A&M against the Vanderbilt Commodores. The Texas A&M Aggies actually won this game by a whopping 17-12. I got to be honest with you right here. I'm going to be Stingray, and I'm going to put on a rant for a minute. Texas A&M and the Gig'em Aggies will never compete for an SEC championship or even go 10 wins until they get rid of Kellen Mond. He is the most overrated SEC quarterback I have ever seen. I do not understand what Jimbo Fisher sees in Kellen Mond. He is complete garbage. Your thoughts?
I don't think Kellen Mond is complete garbage. Here's the thing about Kellen Mond. He's going to keep his team. He's going to keep the Aggies in every game, but he's also going to keep your team in every game.
Yes.
It's kind of a give and take. Gosh, I'm showing my age here. Steve DeBerg used to be the quarterback for the Chiefs, Kansas City, way back when. Same thing. He would always keep his team in the game, but he was going to keep you in the game. He was going to do a bonehead turnover. He was going to give you the ball in a bad situation. But he was also going to rally the troops to make things happen, like we saw now 2 seasons ago with LSU and A&M in that overtime game. He rose to the occasion. He can rise to the occasion to make things happen. But, yeah, and going back, you say it was such a boring game. I was thrilled about it, but I'm a defensive guy. I love defense. I always want to see defenses perform at a high level. That's what you got at Vanderbilt. You got one of the best defensive minds as a head coach down there right now. The offense has been absolutely a stinker the past couple of years. It's been bad. Vandy's going to win games. If they're going to win games, they're going to win games with that defense. I really think the Vanderbilt defense stepped up to a higher level than we all thought. And give it up to Steele, the freshman quarterback. I believe he's a true freshman quarterback. I mean, this time last year, he's getting a date for the homecoming day. Now here he is starting for Vanderbilt in the SEC down there at Texas A&M. So massive props to him for his very first college game of staying in there, making things happen. See that beautiful touchdown that he just threw right there.
Yes. And I tell you, man, A&M once again had 3 turnovers in a mistake-filled game, and especially the block in the back in the end zone, which actually put Vanderbilt gave them from 2 to they gave them a safety there. You just can't have those mistakes year 3 of Jimbo Fisher, and now they go on the road to take on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, this play right here, I don't know if you saw this, but this was really, really interesting here. As you can see, there was a flag thrown. Look at the Vanderbilt defender as he throws the Texas A&M player out of bounds. This is literally something like you would see on the WWE. Take a look at this real quick, Heath.
I mean, it was a belly-to-back suplex.
I was like, oh, my God, are you kidding me? And then he was one guy with a whole bunch of Aggies over there. Are you really that stupid to put your neck out when there's 3 versus like 25 or 30 guys over there? Come on, man.
I think it was a frustration thing, and smart players don't do that. I know that's kind of ironic because we're talking about Vanderbilt.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Boom. That was just like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh my gosh.
But did they get endorsed by Brock Lesnar? That's the important question.
So, I was just like, my gosh. But once again, that was a boneheaded play because that gave Vanderbilt an extra, it gave them a penalty and gave extra yards, of course, to Texas A&M. But someone also said that Kellen Mond has never really developed since his first season at A&M. Let me go ahead and pop that up there. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. He just hasn't taken that next step, which he needs to. Now, would I put Jimbo Fisher on the hot seat? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But I'm real interested to see what Jimbo Fisher will do once Kellen Mond graduates next year. And actually he gets his guy in there, like maybe a Jameis Winston or somebody like that can really be a good quarterback. Then I think A&M will take the next step.
Well, the backup quarterback, some guy named Calzada, and I believe he was a very big Texas prospect as far as a Texas high school quarterback. I believe he did a lot of big things. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say they had a 4 or 5-star quarterback they brought in. And obviously, how many freshman quarterbacks come in and perform? But it's extremely so very that happens. And I know people are saying things like, oh, hey, this year doesn't really count. We should go on and play. I thought you were going to try to win the game. Thought that was the point of football. What did Herm Edwards say? You play to win the game. I like that. A&M's got some things. I thought Jimbo Fisher was kind of slipping at Florida State when he left. I don't want to say he left that program at the peak of performance at all. So I really think that he was brought in as a recruiter. He's making some things happen at Texas A&M, but I've never been a big Texas A&M, guy saying, "Hey, this is their year." Hey, every time I look at A&M, I'm like, I don't think they can do this game on the road at all. I don't think they can get by LSU. I don't think they can beat Bama this year. I don't think they can do this. I don't think they can do that. And then they come up losing some games to some other teams. In the past couple of years, they've struggled with Arkansas. So, you're paying Jimbo Fisher all this money. What are you getting in return? Stephen, we can't hear you. I think you got your mic muted.
Got it.
There you go. There he is.
Let me go on ahead and pop this up as well, because I am just really, really disappointed by this. You can go on ahead and talk, and then I'll come back in when I get this up.
All right. Texas A&M, it's a proud program over there. They've got all the money and resources to do whatever they want. I don't understand why they can't get around things. It was so promising for Johnny Football a couple years ago when they went on the road and beat Alabama. We all thought it was going to be the springboard game that sends them to the national spotlight. Then there was the overtime game with LSU. We're like, oh, okay, this is the A&M we're expected. And then they did what they did last year, and then this year it's not looking anywhere close to promising. What is the fate of A&M? They've got money. They've got resources. They got a good coach. They got recruiting. They got a great recruiting base. I mean, it's Texas. So what has Texas A&M got to do to make it happen for the Aggies?
I have no clue. But, we talked about last week, going back to the Magnolia State, that you really hoped that the Southern Miss Golden Eagles played for their school, played for their team, played for their future this past weekend. Let me pop this up for you. That right there is the final score of the Southern Miss game. 66-24, Tulane thumps Southern Miss. That, to me right there, Heath, tells me that football team has all but given up on the 2020 season. Do you agree with that?
Steven. Oh, man, that's a painful score to look at. Yes. Yes, the simple and short answer to this question, yes. There was rumors that coach gave up players on both sides of the ball to play this year, and it was just kind of like we're going through the motions. I think kind of saw that first game against South Alabama. Now there's a coaching vacancy that our guest will talk about briefly tomorrow.
Yes.
But Southern Miss is a proud program and used to be the powerhouse of the state of Mississippi, definitely through the 80s. Part of the 70s and the 80s and even into the early part of the 90s. Jeff Bauer dominated down there. He's kind of a Mike Leach himself. He was bringing in these players that other people were passing on, and he was winning. And, I hear people call them butt players. And what that means, he goes, well, he's a great player, but he's not that tall. He's a great player, but he's not that big. He's a great player, but he's not that fast. They had all these butt players, but they were dominating. When Conference USA had teams like TCU in it and Cincinnati and some other big name programs. And now Southern Miss, there it is. Painful to see it. I really hope Southern Miss goes out and gets an offensive mind, someone that will burn the lights out on the scoreboard each and every week. I think Southern Miss, with what's going on in the state of Mississippi, what happened at Jackson State with Deion Sanders, even at a school like Delta State that's competing for national championships, a division lower, and then you're looking at Lane Kiffin and Oxford getting players the ball in space and scoring the points like he did in Florida, and then Mike Leach setting records like he did this weekend. Southern Miss, you've got to get an offensive mind in there, and you've got to blow it up. And you can't be that stepchild of Mississippi. You got to make us proud.
They actually need a guy kind of like Larry Fedora was before he went to North Carolina. I mean, he had that program rolling down there. I mean, I believe there was a year there where they went 10 or 11-1.
Yeah, 11-1. I think Fedora won with other people's talent.
Right.
Because, he went to North Carolina and didn't see much of that happen for him over there. I don't know what Southern Miss needs, but I know they need an offensive mind. I don't know who they're going to get, but I hope they get an offensive mind. I hope they get somebody that comes in there and makes it happen. Everybody wants to hire the young and up-and-coming coach, and I'm not always against that, but I'm a very firm believer in go and get an established coach that knows what he's doing, that has a proven track record. They're like, oh, well, he's getting long in the tooth. Oh, he's getting older. Oh, he can't relate to 19-year-old kids. Hey, do you want him to win ball games or not? You're taking a risk with a no-name offensive coordinator from whatever Power 5 conference, or you can get the proven, guy. There's so many coaches out there that I think would take that job and would run with it. But no matter who they get, I hope it's an offensive guru, and I hope we see a lot of – look at all the fun that's happening in Mississippi now. You got Deion, Pirate, the Lane Train. I mean, there's a lot of fun things. I mean, of all places, Mississippi is the epicenter of football all of a sudden. So I'm hoping
how fun would it be to have Deion, the Lane Train, the Pirate, and Hugh Freeze back in the state of Mississippi?
Oh, I hope Miss Freeze knows what the real estate prices are in Hattiesburg. I hope she's happy when she sees them. I really hope. I really, really hope. I think Hugh Freeze fits that program like a glove. He's a Southern Miss grad. He's from Mississippi. He's a Mississippi boy. He grew up in Northwest Mississippi. He went to school in Southern Mississippi. He was in, Oxford. He knows the state forwards and backwards. He knows what Southern Miss is. He knows what Southern Miss needs. Does Southern Miss need him? I think a lot of people would say yes.
Well, Heath, do you have anything else to add on the review show before we sign off and talk about tomorrow?
No, if you got any questions, go on and send them in right now. Send them in real quick, and maybe we can get to them here in the next couple of minutes. But what an opening weekend of SEC football. I didn't see South Carolina competing as well as they did against Tennessee. I didn't see Vanderbilt making that a game with A&M, and they did.
Right.
I didn't see the upset with Mississippi State down the bayou. I did not see Missouri making things happen on offense with their quote-unquote weird offense, self-tabbed by their players. You look at Kentucky. Are they taking a step back? I don't think they are. I just think they got off to a slow start there at Auburn, and then they got a bad call, and they kind of wilted for the day. I got questions about Auburn. Are they going to take a step up, or we're going to see the same Auburn team? I think we'll see them take a step up. I think LSU is going to be a good team. I don't think they're a bad team. I don't think they're going to be a 5-5 team. I think they're going to be a 7-3 team. Arkansas, that game with Georgia, that shocked everybody. Now, of course, Georgia turned it on later on in the game after they got a defensive break. And I don't know how many quarterbacks they went through. I don't think a lot of people have that many quarterbacks, scholarship quarterbacks on their team right now on their roster.
Right.
So there was a lot of things that happened in the SEC in week one, and they were all fun. We got some questions. That Bama defense, people are starting to worry about their depth. I'm not worried about their depth. So I'm really liking everything that's going on in the SEC this year. The only question that I have is, where's Auburn as a team? Where is that Florida defense right now? Is Tennessee going to keep it up at a high level? Now you're kind of the top dog on the win streak, so you got a target on your back. So how long can they keep that up? We'll find out here in week 5.
Real quick, before we go, I do want to play this from last week, just simply because I think it's exciting and awesome. Defending national champions taking on the air raid offense of Mike Leach, making his debut at Mississippi State. And let me roll the highlights, because this was the highlights from last year in Starkville. Mississippi State held their own pretty much. But man, LSU is so talented, but they're missing Jamar Chase as well. I don't know why I'm doing it, but I'm actually going Mississippi State in the air raid, getting their first huge win to start off the Mike Leach era. I got the Bulldogs.
Stingray, let me give you some life advice. If the Bulldogs pull that upset, as you predicted, you need to drive across the state line and buy you a lottery ticket. Your luck is going in the right direction.
So, do I need to go get a lottery ticket or go to Vegas right now?
Both. You got to do both.
I mean, this was your team, and you didn't even pick them.
No, I did not pick the Bulldogs. I wanted to. I thought there might be a chance, but I also thought they had to have so many breaks go their way to get that victory. And here's a crazy thing, Stephen. Crazy stat of the day. Mississippi State has won 5 games against LSU in the last 30 years. 3 of them in Death Valley.
Yes.
3 of them in Death Valley. Not at home at Scott Field. 3 of them in Death Valley.
But now one of them was at Scott Field, the 37-7 win back in 2017, I believe. They actually came into Starkville on a night game and actually walked out of there with a 37-7 defeat. And I believe, if memory serves me correctly, that was Coach O's first year on the Bayou.
He struggled with Troy that year. He took a home loss to Troy.
Yes.
And then he lost to State by 30. 37-30. I mean, that was brutal.
Yes.
That game could have been a lot worse Saturday. I mean, like I said earlier in the show, State didn't play clean. They gave the ball away 4 times.
Right.
And then there was that no call on Skull Dragon KJ Costello ripping him down from the back of the helmet. That gave State first and goal down there. They were dropping that ball. So, in another one of those turnovers, it was, I believe, they drove the ball 85 yards before they turned the ball over, which maybe it was 75 yards. But still, it blew my mind how easy Mike Leach and the offense made it look against LSU of driving the ball. They weren't getting the breaks. They were just running.
Yes.
So if you don't know, I had so many people text everything. They hardly. I was a Leach supporter before the game. I never thought we could even interview. I didn't even think we could be the time of day. And like I said, I've been a Mike Leach supporter for years and years. But people were like, "Hey, do you really think the air raid's going to work in the SEC?" And I'm like, "Why wouldn't it work?" And they were like, "Well, it's the SEC. The defenses are stronger and the recruits are better and faster." And I was like, "Well, what's the difference between a 24-yard gain and a 19-yard gain? Still a first down." And people were like, "Well, he doesn't throw it on the field every time." I was like, "Okay, well, what's the difference between a 14-yard gain and a 9-yard gain?" He's still throwing the ball downfield. He's still going to make things happen. It's not a system. It's not a gimmick system of, magic. It's a system of attacking space. in matchups. It's mainly matchups. Linebackers are going to get burned. Corners are going to have the ball thrown over the top of them and get burned. DNs every now and again will have to match up with somebody, and that's going to be a first down every time. So with that, is the area going to work? The SEC? Yes, it's worked everywhere for 19 years. It's going to work.
All right, well, Heath, that's, I believe that's going to wrap up the Stingray Show, episode number 2. Be sure to let us know what you think about the show. And like I said, I do apologize for the video quality and the sound. We are going to, like Heath has told me before, it is a work in progress, and we're going to continue to fine-tune and hopefully get everything ready before our big show tomorrow, when we're actually going to have Hugh Freeze on the show, and he was nice enough to stop by. So we will have Hugh Freeze on the show tomorrow at 2:30, only on the Stingray Show. And tomorrow we will preview Week 5 in the conference, or Week 5 overall, and Week 2 in the conference, where we have some big games in Mississippi State and the Air Raid actually going home to Starkville to take on Arkansas, just to name a few.
And so thanks for everyone tuning in and sending in your questions, and always feel free to send in a question. Johnny D, thank you. I think you got 2 questions in today.
Yes.
Keep sending them in, brother. We appreciate them.
Absolutely. And like I said, one more time, we are going to work on the production quality of this. This is on my end. Heath's internet is perfect. He is in a strong area of internet. I am, however, where I am located right here, I am on a hotspot. So I'm going to have to work on that. But like I said, I will try to do my very best to get the internet up and working. But like I said, we want to thank everybody for staying with us and staying true to the show, even though we are choppy and we're having video issues.
Steven, we're going to get there, brother.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Well, I hope everybody has a wonderful evening and, of course, a wonderful night. And we will see you right back here on the Stingray Show tomorrow at 2:30 with our very special guest, Hugh Freeze. Have a great night, and as always, God bless.
Sayonara. See you tomorrow.
The Dogs and Stingray are coming for you.
This is Stephen Ray, a.k.a. Stingray, coming to you live from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Good afternoon, Mr. Feinbaum. Stingray here, and I'm about to shoot the bull with you like all the Auburn students do down at Auburn. Worst defense ever! So without further ado, here is the biggest Alabama going for the field goal. The kick is up. It is away. It is no good. Chris Davis bringing it out of the end zone. Oh, he's got blockers. Chris Davis up the sideline. Here he goes. Here we go, guys. Dobbs back to pass. Launching the ball. Jennings. He's got it. Jennings. He's got it. Touchdown, Tennessee. They shocked the Dogs in Sanford Stadium. Are you kidding me? My God almighty. What an epic way for the Tennessee-Georgia rivalry